This time on Jenny's Way, joining me is Carly Mannino, who is a real estate investor and entrepreneur. Carly shares her insight on real estate investment success, debunks a popular misconception about buying properties, and emphasizes the importance of education and how a servant's heart and mindset makes all the difference in real estate investing. There's so much here, okay, let's get to it.
Hi, welcome back to Jenny's Way. I'm so excited for today's conversation. Jenny's Way is where we talk about marketing, money, mindset, and much more. And I love to introduce Carly Mannino. She's an entrepreneur. She's also a real estate investor, and she's a mentor and much more. Hey, Carly, it's great seeing you. We've been trying to have that conversation for a while now.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad we got to connect.
Tell listeners what would be the biggest myth in real estate that you kind of wanted to debunk from the beginning?
The biggest myth in real estate is that you need to go to a bank to get a mortgage to buy a property. You don't need a bank. There's many ways to get it without a bank, a mortgage. I've never stepped into a bank. I've never walked into a bank in my life and got a mortgage, but I own many, many, many properties.
Wow, that's exciting. Did you guys know that? How did you discover that you can do that?
A lot of education. Education is vital to being a real estate investor. You want to make sure you're doing things legally, morally, and ethically correct. And by getting a good education, a good mentor, a good trainer to learn to do things properly and legally, you're able to help people in a bad situation. You're able to buy properties, and you're able to just help the community in general just be better and grow your business in the same time.
How did you get interested in real estate investment? I believe you had a different career before all of this exciting real estate things.
I did. I was actually an engineer for Dell, a computer engineer. I went to got my computer degree, my business degree, and I thought for sure I was just going to be in IT forever. And the people that were around for 2008 remember what happened back then, so they laid everybody off. So even with 2 degrees, I looked for jobs for months and months and couldn't even get a job as a server. So we ended up, I'd never been to North Carolina in my life. I put my kids in the car. We drove down here. I didn't know anybody. I never been here. Didn't know what to expect. But Hurricane Hannah hit the night that we arrived. And I found us a place to live the next day and a job a couple days later. And so that's what got me down here. And I had to figure out something different. I got into computer sales, which is something I did not want to do. That wasn't the level of IT that I wanted to be at, as I was an engineer beforehand. And I got into real estate. Someone had actually approached me. It was funny. I love Christmas. And so I had a Christmas light installation company. And an older gentleman had approached me and asked if he could work for me. And I was like, well, we go on 40-foot ladders. You probably don't want to do that. It's 40 feet. And so he was like, yeah, I can do it. No problem. I was like, okay. So he came out and he worked and he was up and down the ladders. It was great. I was like, okay, very impressive. Better than some of the younger guys that were working there that day. And at the end of it, he had asked me, he's like, well, I really love how you are with your employees and you do great work. And would you consider working for me? And I was like, well, you just asked me if you could work for me. It's a little confusing, right? And he had explained to me that he had been rehabbing houses here in Raleigh since the 80s. And he was looking to grow his company, and he was going to teach me because I was like, I don't know anything about rehabbing houses. I've never done that. I grew up in a 200-year-old house, but I wasn't rehabbing it, So I started working with him, and I really started enjoying it. And then he ended up getting some properties in a beautiful country and was going to move. And I was like, well, that's lovely, but I live in North Carolina and I'm going to stay here. So at that point I knew enough to be dangerous. And so I was like, all I know is I need to know more. Like, I don't know enough to do this properly. So locally here in Raleigh, we have what's called a RIA. It's a Real Estate Investors Association. At the time, there was just the one. It was TRIA, the Triangle Real Estate Investors Association. And I went there, and they had such amazing educators, people that would come in once or twice a month and talk about different layers of real estate, because there's so many different ways. And you also want to get into it properly and have the right tools at your hand so you can do it right. And everything kind of lined up perfectly for me in the order of getting money for buying properties, how to buy the properties correctly, how to rehab the properties. It all lined up, and I finally started. After about a year, it took me about a year to get my very first deal, and I was very excited. I thought, of course, they're just going to all start happening now, right? Which is not the way that works. I was a single mom. My husband had passed away, and I was working 2 jobs trying to support my family like a lot of people are doing. And so I couldn't commit 100%, and I didn't have the extra money to go buy a house. But with that education, that's where I started learning that there are so many different ways we do creative finance. That's what I do here in Raleigh. Is I have a course where I teach creative financing, which you can buy with owner financing from the seller, or you can buy with a subject to the existing mortgage from a seller as well. So there's different ways to do it without needing a bank. And that education the foundation that I started with is what led me on that path.
Interesting story. Is real estate investment for everybody?
It can be. It's an option. A lot of people.
Who is it?
I would say there's people.
Is it really? Yeah.
I think the people that are in it to chase it for the money, they're like, oh, I can make lots of money. Yes, you can, but you need to have a servant's heart. You need to be out there thinking about other people and how you can help them, because if you can help enough people, you'll get what you need, and the money will follow you. You don't have to chase it. So if you're out there just taking care of people, solving problems, I always say, people ask me, well, how do you get these properties? How do you find these houses? I said, I don't look for houses. I look for people that happen to have a problem that happens to have a house attached to it. My goal is to solve the problem for them, whether they're in foreclosure, they're about to lose the house, they have a job transfer, something big is going on. Maybe it's a hoarder house, a mental health situation. We come in, we solve the problem. They very well may have lost the house. And in this case, they don't have a foreclosure. They don't end up homeless. They end up with money in their pocket. So we do a lot of things to make sure that the seller's protected and taken care of. And that's the goal. If you're out there looking to help, you're going to find the properties that you need to do and make plenty of money doing it.
You're providing service.
I provide a service to my sellers.
You can't just go be there for the money. You have to have a right mindset.
Exactly. Right. So you have to go in. I see people that go in it for the money. They don't last very long. If you go in it with the right mindset that you're there to help and to solve a problem, then that's the best way to really grow. People are going to refer you to their family, to their friends, when they know that you're a good person that's there to serve and not just there to take advantage of someone.
What would be the qualities or personality traits that people would need in order to be successful, which you kind of touch on it already briefly?
Right. I think, anybody could be a real estate investor with the right time, knowledge, and education going out there. A lot of people can start. It's not something you jump into full time, right? So it's something you can definitely do on the side while you're working a 9-to-5 job. And you can get one property and another and eventually replace your income. But as long as you're, like I said, have a servant's heart and you're being considerate and thoughtful of others and not just out there, me, but what can I do for you? Then I think that's the best way to grow your company and to get people to know who you are, to trust you and to want to work with you.
In 2024, but you say it's still late to get on a real estate wagon. The time had passed. What are your thoughts about that?
I definitely disagree with that, because here's what we all know. Real estate always goes up. Does it go down? Yes, but then it always goes back up. And even if it's going like this on the chart, it always still ends up. So what do they say? The best time to buy was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So because tomorrow's going to be. So with that, I would say with what we do, it's even better time, because we're still getting those 2, 3, 4% interest rates that people aren't able to get right now with my system and the way that we teach the course and the way we train people. Is you're able to get a very low interest rate still, which is an amazing opportunity that people don't even realize is out there.
That's cool. That's interesting angle there. Carly,
Yes.
can you share your failure, that one of your failures that turned into success, which initially felt like it was, oh my God, what a failure, but it actually was a pivotal point for a greater success in your journey?
I have a few of those. Yes. I think with real estate, people think, oh, you just make all this money. No, it's very much
Pick
up
one or
and
two. We love
up and
stories on Jenny's Way.
down. So, I would say one of my first houses was an educational, we'll call it an educational experience is what I call it. I had bought a property that I was told was in a nice little quiet town near the water. It was beautiful. I'd looked online. I had done some research on making sure that the area was a nice area for a family to move into. I found a house at a great deal. I actually paid cash for it. It was a brick ranch. And I want to say I paid maybe $25,000 for it. Well, I thought it was smart. This was only one of my second deal. I didn't really know what I was doing with this. So I wanted to be a virtual wholesaler because everybody talked about being a virtual wholesaler. So I bought this house. I didn't go see it, which was really dumb. I should have definitely done that. And once I went down there, I was almost afraid to get out of the car when I saw the neighborhood it was in. The neighborhood had just been on the news because a man was chasing another man through the neighborhood with a gun. There's a school nearby. They had to shut down the school.
And you were almost terrified to get out of the car. Tell me more.
So our neighbor's name to the house, he came over and introduced himself, and he told me his name was Outlaw. And then obviously I'd already bought the house, so we're in it, right? So that's what's going on. So we made friends with him and offered him to mow the grass and things. If he wanted to, we'd pay him to do that. And I got a real estate agent, and she started taking over it just because this house was a couple hours from Raleigh, and I hadn't realized what I had gotten myself into. And we were going to rehab the house and make it beautiful. And people kept breaking into the house and having poker parties and things in the house. And so my real estate agent, who was maybe your height, just a tiny little thing, comes into the house, and she would go in and kick them out. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to get shot. Don't do that. That's not safe. So she did. And I got calls from the police, are anybody supposed to be in this house? And no. And they're like, okay, we'll go kick them out. I was like, oh, this house has been. And then the last thing, we were about to sell it. We were days away from closing. And a guy was walking in front of our house, and a car came down one side of the street, another car came from the other side, and everybody shot at this gentleman and didn't kill him, but they did shoot up my house. And so obviously the sale fell through, and we had to do a lot of repairs to fix up the bullets. Luckily, no one was killed, so we didn't have to report a murder or anything. But yeah, those are those stories that you hear about, and you find out new, exciting things. Every real estate deal is an adventure. It's a roller coaster. You just got to hang on and ride it out till the end of the ride. So I learned a lot on that, what not to do. Never doing virtuals again. Always going in person. Always checking out the house. And so you got to learn all the different ways. So they always say you can either learn by getting an education and paying for someone, or you can learn by experience, and usually experience is more expensive.
And how did that make you who you are now, that experience?
I think it made me more thorough. Obviously that was an attempt to try something that was probably not the smartest thing to do anyway. So I learned to not do that. I always either go to the house myself, or I have somebody that I know personally go to the house and do a thorough check, whether it be a GC or just another investor that I know knows their way around and can give me good, thorough feedback. Sometimes we'll even have the sellers do it. We'll just have them do it on their phone and do a video walkthrough and have them go outside and show the street and the house and everything. So there's a lot of much better ways to do it than what I did. It was definitely a mistake.
Don't buy unseen, because you never know what you're gonna get.
Right. We got a lot.
Carly, if you had unlimited resources, yeah, I know. If you had unlimited resources, what project would you undertake and why?
Oh, well, I have, I wouldn't say I have unlimited resources, but I do have a project that I'm working on right now. It's a large 20,000 square foot
But if you
building.
did,
Well, it'll lead to it. It'll get us there. So I'm going to make it for a women's shelter, basically for domestic violence or poverty, women having problems with their children.
Oh,
so
wow.
that way they can be helped. Like they can, if they want to go to school, we'll help them get through there. They can live there on the property. We'll get them therapy. We'll get them any medical they need. We're going to get them to break that cycle. And then for their children, we'll be tutoring them and helping them get through so they can, when they're ready, they can go to college or whatever course of life they want to do. And with that, I have a dear friend that has a charity. It's called the CDH charity. It's for babies that are born, their diaphragms don't quite seal up, so their organs start to go up through their diaphragm and their lungs don't develop, and about 50% of them pass away in the first 72 hours of life. And so she's been doing this for almost 30 years because her son passed away from it, and she's afraid that she was going to have to close the charity down. So it came out of my mouth. I was like, I'm going to get you $500,000 a year so that you're able to continue your charity. Don't know where that came from. Don't know how I'm doing this, but I just felt like God came through me and said, we're going to do this. And so now with the charity that I'm doing for the women, I'm also doing a men's charity on the side, which is just strictly substance abuse. So I'm creating these two charities and then helping her third one in order to help them. You know, there's just too many people in the world that need help. And so that's a big thing. So as I keep doing what I'm doing, it gives me the privilege to be able to help these people.
Yeah, neat. So with that said, how do you manage all the multiple projects all at the same time? How do you keep yourself grounded, and how do you prioritize? What's your secret sauce?
That's an amazing question because I have so many projects going on at any given time. I have properties in multiple states, projects in multiple states, and it's all been just in my brain, and I just, whatever is the most important gets risen to the top, whichever is the most urgent. But I just added several members to my team this week and kind of let them take pieces of all the activities from my brain and apply it so that they can start handling those, because I am getting a little overwhelmed between my own projects. We're getting an RV park here in a month. We have properties, we have rehabs going in multiple states. We have properties in multiple states. I have my digital course that's coming out in 6 weeks, and then I have my in-person course that's in 2 weeks. So there's definitely a lot in making sure that all of those things run smoothly and give everyone the best product that we can come up with for them.
Yeah, we talked about it, that you mentioned a delegation wasn't necessarily something you were comfortable with, but sounds like you made a good progress in that area. How did you accomplish that?
Yeah, I think I definitely needed to delegate, and I had been told for quite some time I needed to delegate because I was just working 16-hour days, 7 days a week with no days off, and just stressing myself out because there is a lot of work and there's a lot of people involved, and you want to always make sure that they're taken care of, number one. So if I don't sleep, I don't sleep. It just gets the work done, and everybody that needs me gets what they need done. But I happen to meet wonderful, amazing people that really fit into what I was looking for. And I think that was one of the reasons I had problems delegating before, because I wasn't excited about the people that I was working, or they wanted to work with me. And when I met these people, it was the right fit, and it was the right click. And I was like, okay, we're all kind of on the same page. You understand what I'm trying to do. And I might have stressed them out the other day when I showed them all the things that I do myself. And they're like, how are we going to get this all done in this time period? I'm like, well, I would have done it by myself. So now this is going to be 4 times easier because there's 4 of us. So there's a learning curve. Obviously, they'll have to learn how to deal with my non-detail oriented personality. I'm definitely a big picture person, and I'm fully believe in the details. I just need someone else to do them.
They have to know the details, how to do it.
Exactly. So, yeah, I just have them look at everything that I'm doing and say, which one of these things are you
How do you keep
comfortable with?
yourself grounded from like the first thing you wake up in the morning? What things do you do for yourself?
So, for my mornings, I actually have little alarms set on my phone, and I don't like that loud, annoying thing. It's just like this nice, soft little strings, the music that sets me up and wakes me up easily instead of, that blaring noise that a lot of alarms have. And
Buzzing
I just
alarm?
get up. Yeah, no buzzing, just nice, soft, like string music, like easily, like it's time to wake up, like Cinderella or Snow White, just little pretty music. But I wake up, I pray, I spend a lot of time with that, and then I get up and I work out right from the jump. So no matter what the workout is, I've learned. I gained a lot of weight and I lost some weight, and so our health is the most important thing. Without that, we can't do anything else. So it's like the first thing I do is get up and get out the door and start walking, working out. I swim a few days a week. So, and then I come home because people will start texting me at 6 a.m, like they're ready to go. And so I've kind of set myself a limit, like the 4-hour work week, right? I don't have that, but I do have limits where I just won't return phone calls unless someone's bleeding in the hospital, something major emergency, until like 10 a.m. because that gives me my time for myself because I'll work till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. So I do need some time to myself. So I take that time in the morning to just deal with my health and plan my meals for the week and, just get ready and get healthy and then do all this hair because, it takes a while.
What do you think the most important for people that are overwhelmed? What's the most important things for them to do when people that get overwhelmed? Do you feel like slow down in the morning or in the evening? Would you recommend
For
them
overwhelmed,
to get, yeah.
it's definitely easy to get overwhelmed in this business, especially at first, because a lot of people just have some fear. I see a lot of people that have like an imposter syndrome, like they haven't done it yet, so they're not ready to do it. So, going through the steps, having a structure, when you take the courses and you take the education, you have step-by-step details, you have scripts. And when you have a mentor and a trainer, so you have someone to talk to and you're able to get them to, take care of you and to walk you through the steps. So that helps a lot with being overwhelmed. A lot of it is just taking pressure off of yourself. People think, oh, I have to do this tomorrow or this right away. And you really don't. You have a luxury of more time than you think you need usually.
How would they deal with fear then if they still continue to be afraid?
So with fear of the phone is a common one. And so what I have people do is to call somebody, like I'll have them get their list of leads and have them call in Nebraska or Idaho or Alaska or someplace they are never going to go and never ever meet these people in their life. And they feel a lot more comfortable with that. And the funny thing was I had one of my students doing this and he almost bought a house in Idaho. He's like, what am I going to do? I live in Massachusetts. I'm like, buy a house in Idaho. It's fine. It's good thing. Just go see it first.
Do you start them with role playing before the actual call?
We do practice making calls because there's such a good amount of people in the class. We have them like call each other. We also set up calls outside of the classroom. We have a silent disco is what we call it. Everybody gets on a meeting, kind of like a Teams meeting or a Zoom, and they put the computer on mute, but they're all on the call. They're calling their own people, but they're all there together doing it. So if somebody needs help, they can raise their hand, and if somebody gets off a call, they can talk through it and help with that. And I have team leaders that run those calls, so if they do need help, sometimes they're not making calls, they're working on other stuff. So if somebody raised their hand, they can stop and say, hey, let's talk, and they'll tell them what's going on, and then they can walk them through it, or they can just put the phone up to the computer and they can talk through it also. So we have a few different things that we do.
How do you help them overcome rejection? How do you help them overcome rejection and not feel like it's personal for them?
Is not personal. It's what I tell people is with creative finance, it's not for everyone. We probably deal with 1 or 2% of the population. The rest should go deal with a real estate agent, and I'll be the first person to tell them to go work with a real estate agent because they would do better. But in case they do want to work with us, then we can do that. So if someone says no, it's just everything is a numbers game. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with that person, that situation. And if it's not the right fit for them, you can't try to force a square into a round peg, right? So, that might not be their fit. Next call. You just keep calling. There's plenty to call, so just keep calling. So out of 100, you should get one, right? So expect 99 no's and get used to hearing no, but be prepared for yeses.
Well, real estate is still a risk, especially if you're just investing it. How do you minimize the risk?
Everything's a risk, right? So, but good risk equals good reward. When you're purchasing the home, just like a real estate agent, there's comps, there's ARV. A comp is where you're looking for properties nearby of similar age, size, rooms, square footage, lot size. And you want to see what those have actually sold for, not what they're for sale for, because we don't know what those are going to sell for, but we want to get what has been sold. So that gives you kind of your starting number where you're going to be, where you need to be. And then they have what's called an ARV, which is after repair value. So a lot of these homes need work, not all of them, but some of them. And so if they need repairs, we're going to factor that into it and know what the house will be worth after we get the property. After we get the property and fix it up and restore it and rehab it.
Carly, what would be the book that influenced you the most, either professionally or personally? Who comes to mind?
Well, with almost all real estate agents, everybody knows Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's kind of the one everybody starts with. But what I'm working on right now is Who, Not How.
Right, yes.
And I can't remember the author's name, which is terrible. And that's kind of how I got my team together, because I finally got into the who, not how, because it was, how do I do this? How do I do this? And it's like, no, who do I know that can do this and do it better than me? I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want people to be able to teach me too.
So that book helped you to figure out who to put on your team.
It did. It really helped. And then, I prayed about it a lot. Like, God, just send me the right people. And the funny thing was, they were praying for the right opportunity too. So he definitely brought us all together. So that was an amazing opportunity.
Did you meet them through networking?
Let me think. So one, actually, I had a networking group. There was we had a mastermind, and she came and spoke because she is a student of architecture, and she knew a lot of what was going on with the city, and she's very wanting to help with affordable housing, especially in Raleigh, as it's gotten so expensive over the last several years. So that's how we met her. Another person had met me through networking and had reached out to me. So yes, and then I'm drawing a blank, Karen. Oh, I know. We had met at a couple of the Real Estate Investors Association groups, and when I was speaking a few weeks ago, I called her and invited her. She didn't know that I was going to ask her to be on my team, but I was like, you got to come out and see me speak. And then I was like, by the way, I want you to work for me. And it was just perfect timing. So it worked out really well. So we have a great group now, which I'm very happy about.
Great. What are your best tips for networking, since I know you're big on networking and connecting with people?
Yes, networking is very important. It depends on the event, and you see people that are there and they're like on their phones and stuff, and you're like, no, there's all these people, get up and talk to them. But if I'm at like a seminar type of place or a place where everyone's sitting, I kind of work the room. I'll start at the front, and my goal is to talk to every single person in the room in a few days, because you're usually there for a few days. So I want to know everybody by the time the event is over, because I want to see how I can help them, and if there's any way that they can help me, and we can work together. And I've grown a huge network that way. In person, you have a lot of opportunities. There's so many places where there's time to network before, during, or after a meeting. So you just have to get up, start talking to the person next to you if you don't know them, And otherwise, get up and talk to someone you don't know. It's easy to talk to all the people you do know. You got to spread out and talk to someone new that you haven't met before.
Mm. Your most funny story about networking. What was the most funniest experience you ever had?
I don't know about funny. I guess when I started knowing who I was, like as I got a lot of networking and people started realizing who I was. I have a friend that you know as well, and she's one of my first students, and so she was talking me up, and I was talking her up, and we didn't tell each other this. We just knew we were in the room, and people would bring something up, and I was talking really great about her, and she was telling everybody about me and my course. And so by the time people got around to me, they're like, "Oh, I already know all about you." I'm like, "What?" I just got here. And she had already talked to them, and it worked really well. So we became really great networking buddies, because I would, of course, speak her up because she's just amazing. And then she was doing the same for me. So we kind of got to double network and work both sides of the room. So by the time we got around to the people that we each had talked to, they already knew about us, which was a great opportunity too. So get yourself a networking buddy.
There you go. That works just well. There's a big tip. Networking buddy. Talk each other up.
Yeah,
But do it with integrity, because it's true.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did it. It was organic. We didn't do it on purpose. We didn't even tell each other. But we found out after that. Like, oh, that's amazing.
I have an idea who that is. What would be the tips for people that want to get in real estate and still scared? They're still scared.
Get an education. Number one, you have to. Like, I would not have done this had I not had somebody. I started with a mentor that reached out to me and got me into it. And I immediately, once he was done, the very next thing I did was get into the Real Estate Investors Association so that I could find people to train me and teach me how to do this right. Because you can get in trouble. You can do it wrong legally. You can get yourself in a financial problem if you're not doing things correctly. So you need to get out there and get that education. There's so many different types of real estate investing. You also want to figure out what you want to do and learn from somebody teaching that. And on the flip side, don't get shiny object syndrome. Stick with one thing for a minimum of 6 months, get that going on autopilot, then add the next and the next from there. But getting educated and getting someone to answer you, teach you, train you, be able to answer your questions, that's the key to doing this. Don't just go out there willy-nilly and expect some lawyer to know what you're doing or understand what you're trying to do without any experience. I've gotten many houses from people that wanted to be landlords with no experience and found out it's not as easy as they thought it was going to be.
It sure isn't. You heard it here first. Not as easy as might seem. You don't know what you have to deal with. House repairs or bad tenants or anything of that sort.
Right. And we all, we have a heart. We care about people, and you kind of get in trouble doing that too, because people will take advantage of you. So you have to be careful to make sure you're protecting yourself, your property, and you want to make sure you get good people in there.
Setting those boundaries up, whether it's what times you're going to take calls or what time you're not going to take calls, or your how you're going to handle people if they try to take advantage of you of any sort. Setting boundaries is very important.
Yes, for sure, 100%. And you don't know what you don't know, so if you have someone educating you with that, now you know before you get in trouble.
Carly, how do you teach some people to market, and what's marketing in real estate for investor means to you? What is it? What are they supposed to learn?
There's so many ways to market, obviously, and a lot of these people, they're coming to us and they don't have a lot of money up front to get started. So we try to start with the free, least expensive ways, and the best way is to go where the people are, right? Get in front of the people. And social media is amazing. So if you can just get on there and join up and start talking to people online, that's the quickest, fastest, freest way to start marketing yourself, because it's everywhere and it spreads pretty quickly. So you want to be a good person, make sure you're doing things properly and getting it moving.
Mm-hmm. Anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked you? Do you like listeners to know?
I think real estate investing is an amazing opportunity for people, and it can and will change your life as long as you go in and learn how to do it and do it properly. I think you can help so many people. I had a dear friend of mine reach out to me today. I've been friends with since the first grade. She's like, "Can you help me?" And I was like, "Of course, let me do what I can do." So, when we're able to help people, I've bought properties where they had a day before they're about to lose the house, and you see a grown man in tears thanking you because you've saved them from their situation. It's important. So what we're doing, if you're doing it right, you're out here helping people. And so it's a great opportunity. It's a great career path for people, for, single women with families. It's extra work at first, but once you put a year or two into it, it'll really change your life.
Thank you, Carly, for coming and sharing your wisdom and your tips. It was great. Until next time, we'll see you again.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be here. Bye.
My key takeaways are that no matter what your business is, prioritizing self-care is critically important for success, and that networking is a crucial component in real estate investment. I totally agree that doing your research before investing into any real estate property will save so much heartache. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It means so much to me and for the growth of this channel. Until next time, see you!